The Badgers are 1-0, a defensive shutout, but a pretty big injury scare. A lot to unpack on this episode of Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Badgers, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Ryan, we're 1-0, man. You are at the stadium. What a day. What a day.
Yeah, listen, I'll start with, and I hope everyone can hear me fine. Obviously, this is not my normal setup. Incredible. Camp Randall's still amazing, right? The atmosphere, the people. My kids got to see a game for the first time. Huge shout out to Nate and Pat and obviously Darren Jones. We were like just amazing stuff. Like, so thank you for allowing us to do this. And Camp Randall's incredible. That first half was nerve wracking. Like, let's just get into the game. That first half was nerve wracking, Rugiet. And I don't have fingernails left.
I mean, dude, like being up 3-0, losing your quarterback like that, it's just, the fear of potentially losing that game definitely crept in all of our minds. Let's be honest, like that happened. You were there. You tend to have a bit of a curse. So I'm glad you broke that today. Thank you for that. And your kids got to see the game. They got to see it win, which is awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, look, storyline number one, Billy Edwards, like I think he looked really good. He was only 6 of 13, but I thought he looked good. He had command of the ball. He looked like he's a leader. You can see it out there. And when he went down, non-contact, instant reactions, Discord, everywhere else. Oh my gosh, could be torn ACL. I will say this: the fact that he was, all they said on TV, I know you didn't watch on TV, was that he was out, lower leg injury. That's it. But what I'm saying is this: like, I don't think you're walking on the sidelines and you're, out there at all if there's a real fear that you tore your ACL. Now, I understand people say you can walk with a torn ACL. I get that. But there's just no chance the medical team is like, oh yeah, go ahead and go out there and support your team when you have a torn ACL. You're not doing that. So that to me is a bit of a positive, right? I mean, I just feel like there's a little bit of something that's probably there, probably a strain, maybe a sprain, maybe he's out until Maryland, which I think we're probably okay with if he needs to heal.
I tell you, when I was in the crowd, obviously when it happens, the guy next to me who I didn't know said, "Oh God, no." He just like let off this profanative tirade when Billy went down, because that's where you can't, the idea of losing Billy after everything that we talked about this offseason and his fit with this offense and his veteran poise one half into the season, it'd be devastating. It would be devastating to lose Billy Edwards. And I actually didn't think he looked great. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think he looked great. I thought he missed on a couple deep throws. But clearly he's the leader of this team. He's the leader of the offense. So whether he looked great or not, that would be a massive loss, right? And you could feel it in the crowd. Like the people around me, they hung their heads. You could just feel what that blow would do to this team. And I'll also say this: starting quarterback or not, 3-0 at halftime is not good enough.
No.
For against the MAC team. Like we talked about it last year. We talked about it before this season. This team has to look the part against some of these first two games. And I don't think they passed the test today from the eye test standpoint. I'm going to be honest. Now, we are going to talk about defense, which let's go, right? But 17 points, backup quarterback or not, starting quarterback or not, that's not going to be good enough. I thought they were offense. Well, maybe we start here because we always do the good, the mid, and the bad. So maybe we start here with the good. Rajiv, I think we're going to agree somewhat here. What's the good here?
I mean, do we have a pass rush? Like what? Wow, dude, look, I think there really are positives that you can take from this. I understand the quarterback thing. I do kind of agree with you on Billy. I think overall he was okay, but the way he commanded things. But man alive, that defense. Tackles for loss, sacks, Sebastian Cheeks, Mason Riger, Christian Allegro. Like, dude, I mean, Daryl Peterson with a sack. Like, this defense locked down. And my boy, Preston Zach, man, I've been saying 2 interceptions, a really big one. Man, the defense totally locked down. Look, I know that we're playing Miami of Ohio, but I don't care. Other Big Ten teams give up plenty of points to MAC quarterbacks, and we were worried about Daquan Finn. We were worried about the dual threat nature that he brought, the skills that he had. They had decent receivers. Like your guy the other day that you interviewed on your show said they had plenty of weapons, but 0 points with our defense, a defense that we have been talking about for a long time, wasn't big enough, wasn't strong enough, wasn't killer instinct enough. You shut out someone like that, that's impressive. I don't care who you're playing. When you have a shutout, that is something to celebrate. This defense, we only needed 3 points to win the game. That defense was fantastic. So many kudos to those guys, man.
Yeah, that's well said. Listen, if you see me looking down, it's because my stats are literally in my hand. So I'm not bored of Rugiet, I promise you. I'm looking at numbers. 117 yards, Miami of Ohio, 117 yards. And about 30 of them came on that one their last drive when you had Heiberger in and Cooper in. By the way, I thought that was a little early to put. Anyway.
I thought so too.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I'm like, guys, this is a 17-point game with 5 minutes left. Let's chill out here. However, 117 points. I don't care. A MAC team. That's a MAC team that went to the conference championship game last year in their conference. Daquan Finn is the current leader in college football in passing touchdowns or something like that, right?
He was also the MAC MVP when he was it was Toledo. Like he's been the MVP of this conference before.
It's a really good defensive effort, and I don't care who you're playing. If you hold somebody to 0 points, 117 yards, you talked about Riger, Allegro. Let's also talk about the physicality of the corners. Hill coming up, popping people. Agard coming up, popping people. You saw multiple really – how about some of the tackling on Finn in the open field? Allegro, Zachman, Cheeks got him once. I thought the tackling was really impressive. I thought their zone read discipline was really impressive. And I thought the secondary coming up and making hits, really impressive. The defense was lights out today. Total heads off. We saw the depth in play. Total domination today from defense.
There are definitely plays that you could have seen that, like in previous Badger teams, even last year, Daquan Finn would have got out and ran for 30 or 40 yards, and it didn't happen. You're so right about the tackling, and I can't wait to see all the stats and everything, missed tackles. I don't think we missed many at all. And the one thing is, like, we could have got home on a couple more sacks, and we just kept missing him in the backfield, but that's tough sometimes. But man, the pressure, like he was in a QB hurry situation a lot tonight. And in past years, we're letting that guy just sit back there and pick us apart. And then we might not win this game. But who's your star of the defense? Like, who's your number one player on the defense tonight?
I mean, it's almost got to be Zachman with the 2 picks. But I think Riger was a dominant player today. Riger coming off the edge, he had the sack, but he also forced a couple tackles. He got pressure a couple times. I thought those two played really well. I thought Allegro played really well. And then interior-wise, you saw some really nice moments from that defensive line that just stood the opposing offensive line up. So I think there's a lot of guys you could go with here, but I would say Zachman or Riger are kind of the obvious ones to me.
For me, it's Sebastian Cheeks. I'm agreeing with Jackie Scar 6. Like, I think Sebastian Cheeks looked fantastic out there today.
Yeah, he did.
He looked like he had a motor on him that was just really, really nice to see. Like, we need that, man. We need someone who can actually, like, dominate there in a little bit. Boy, it is really nice. Like, to have a shutout like that, man, like, when was the last time we even had that? It's just so nice to see that. And yeah, I mean, we can talk about the offense. We're going to talk about our next segment some more, but I just really feel like there's so many good things about that defense that we can really project forward this season.
Yeah, and I want to throw it out here because I've seen the comments go up, and there's a lot of, it's coping, we're doing a good, mid, and a bad. Like, this is the good part. We're going to get to other parts of this game, I promise you. But I saw a comment earlier, and again, I don't really have the ability to put the comments up or star them, but it was an interesting question. Would you rather win 34-17 or 17-0? You know, it's almost like the offense obviously did not live up to what we wanted today. We're going to talk about that. But I thought that defense was better than expected. And you have to look at both sides of that. The defense was dominant today.
I mean, for me, that's 17-0, just because like the defense is what we can use going forward. Like, even if we have to live without Billy for a couple of weeks, like that defense is really something to sink our teeth into. We can say, okay, these guys can actually project. But we'll get into offense in our next segment. Let's take a quick break for our friends of the show. All right, we're going to talk about Gametime, and I'm sure Ryan got these tickets from Gametime at the game that he went to today. College football is back, guys. I couldn't be more excited. Tailgates, rivalries, energy in the stands, and I mean, there's just so many things about going to games that sometimes can be a little difficult. But that's why we use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices, no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. If you haven't ever used this app, It's fantastic. You can really, they'll give you, like, they'll sort seats by value. You can get zone seats where you can simply pick the section, let Gametime pick the seats. There's just so many options. You can do it last minute. You can do it on your way to the game. The prices are always fluctuating, but the best thing is that the price you get is what it's the price you see is what you get. That's the amazing part about it. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download Gametime today. All right, man. Now we got to talk about the offense. We got to talk about the other side of the ball.
It almost feels like we usually do, like I said, the good, the mid, the ugly. Yeah. It's almost like there's a good and an ugly to some degree here. Maybe we just get into the ugly. I thought the offensive line struggled.
Oh, yeah.
And it's easy to look at. Listen, Davis Heinzen came in. He came in kind of late in this process. First game for the Badgers, like it was a struggle, man. You could see it. There was pressure off that left side. That's something that's going to have to get better. But I also thought, I thought the interior of the offensive line wasn't great either. It's disconcerting if you have first and goal and it takes you 3 runs and you need a quarterback sneak to get in there from the 1 yard line, 2-3 yard line, whatever it was, right? It was Yakimelli stuffed. That's disconcerting, man, because we're going to be facing much better defensive fronts.
Yeah, I mean, very early on in the game, you could instantly tell that Davis Heinzen just didn't have it. And he got burned I think it was like the third play of the game or something. Billy Edwards dropped back and actually the ball got tipped, all because Heinzen just missed the guy. And yeah, man, I mean, you definitely thought we were going to come in and run the ball really, really well, because our running backs, I think, overall did fine. Dylan Jones, I think, missed a couple of holes early in the game, and I think his vision could have been a little better, but he's still learning. But yeah, I mean, you're right about the interior of the line too. Like I will say the right side of the line, all of it looked not so good. Like Raul Malman and Mandel got beat several times. I think Brunner probably looked like the best lineman, and Renfro, I think, looked okay. But even still, Brunner got beat a few times. Man, Heinzen, really, that was a glaring issue. And every team we play is putting their top pass rusher right on our left tackle. And man, that's a trouble spot. We're gonna have to look at schemes. We're gonna have to look at putting a tight end over there, chipping. Like, there's gonna have to be a lot of adjustments, because I don't think Leighton Nelson can go in there and do that necessarily either. Like, that's a real concern, and it affects so much of the game. I mean, it affects our pass game. It affects clearly our running game dramatically. Thank goodness for the defense tonight, because without that, I don't know where we are. And man, yeah, it's a real problem. And we talked about the offensive line being an issue with depth, and we talked about how it could have been a concern. How much do we miss Kevin Haywood right now?
Oh, dude, yeah. It makes you wonder, right? I mean, they obviously made a choice of, we're going to put Heinzen on the left side. We're going to keep Brunner at his best spot at guard. I'm not saying the choice did not have reason behind it. Obviously it did. Brunner's a better guard than he's a tackle, but it does make you wonder if there's still potential of moving Brunner out. Like, it's not a 1 week thing, but if you see struggles continuing from Davis Heinzen from that left side, maybe you do start to reignite the talk of, let's kick Brunner out, maybe Kadenko on the inside. I don't know. But dude, it just wasn't good enough. It just was not good enough. And there was pressure, but I also thought a lot of times the running backs didn't have holes. I thought they did pretty well for the most part. They were guys in the backfield that had to make people miss. It's not good enough, man. And we're going to be facing better defensive lines.
Like, insanely better defensive lines. It's interesting. Like, obviously, Middle Tennessee State next week, I think we'll probably keep the formation and give it another go. But I think for Alabama, yeah, I mean, if Heinzen struggles next week against Middle Tennessee State, then I think you've got to figure out how to make a change. I mean, especially if you've got an injured Billy Edwards and he's coming back, his blind side is the most important piece there. And it puts us in a really difficult spot. I mean, do you think they make a change right away, or do you feel like they give it until maybe Alabama, depending on how it goes?
I don't think you can make a change right away. I think, because you make the change, or you make this decision based in practice, based on a lot of reps you have. And I think pulling the plug 1 week in is probably a bit of a panic move. The answer may be there's not a great answer, unfortunately, which then you keep a tight end on that side, you chip more. And listen, that takes some of your guys out of the route tree, right? That impacts other parts of the offense. So it just might be an issue all year, man. Now, I will give some grace to Davis Heinzen. This is his first game on the Badgers in real bullets flying. Let's see. They're going to go back and film. There's really good offensive line coaches on this team. Let's see what they do coming back out. But if they don't fix that in a week or two, a game or two, like that's going to cost games. It's going to lead to injuries. Like it's not tenable. It was not good enough, period. No excuses. Yeah. It was not good enough.
Let's talk about, so we talked about obviously the good and the ugly. Let's talk about some of the mid stuff and other things. What was your impression of Danny O'Neal? Like, obviously we're going to see him probably for at least another week, surely, and maybe even against Alabama because we're probably not winning that game anyway. But I mean, there were some pretty rough throws out there, but he moved pretty well. And obviously his legs were a weapon today. Oh
man, we're going to have to talk about that pick. We're going to have to talk about that pick, that decision. So I thought he was fine.
Just run the ball.
Well, let's actually talk about that decision quick because I texted you before. I would have kicked the field goal. I thought that was usually I like aggressiveness. That was a 3-0 game where they weren't moving the ball at all. Points at a premium. Like the best Miami of Ohio was going to do was to get into field goal range and kick a field goal. I felt like 3 points there. Given you have a backup quarterback and your offensive line hasn't looked great, and then you throw the ball, dude, that was bewildering to me. And you know it. I texted you. This isn't like after the fact. I was like, dude, kick the field goal. Take the guaranteed points. So I didn't love that decision to begin with, but then the decision, then the play call, and then the throw. Man. Sorry. Let me ask you that. Did you like that decision before? I know you asked me about Danny O'Neal, but I'm curious your thought process there.
Okay, so actually, for the record, I did like it, and I'm okay. I do not like the play call, but I do like going for it. At this point, you know, like you're the better offensive line. Let's just lean in on them a little bit. You got 2 yards to go to get the first down. You're so deep in territory, and points are coming at a premium. I understand the thought of going up to 6-0, but that's still a touchdown beats you at that point. Like try to get that guaranteed 7. Worst case scenario, you're pinning him deep. Obviously, you don't want him to get a touchback, but I mean, I was totally okay with the decision. But if you're going to do that, you can't throw the ball with a backup quarterback. Now, I mean, the defense read it well. Tretch really wasn't open. A better throw certainly probably would have given him a chance. Or in that situation, you throw the ball to where your guy is the only guy that can catch it and the other guy can't. That right there was Danny O'Neal's big mistake. He put the ball in harm's way, which you just simply can't do in the red zone. But no, it didn't really bother me as far as the decision. As far as Danny O'Neal in general, again, I like the legs. I like what he could do on the ground. But the throws, he made a couple good throws. That tight throw to, was it Lance Mason, I think, that caught it on the 2 or 3 yard line, or was that Steck? I don't know.
It was Steck.
Maybe it was Steck, yeah. That was very good. I mean, he made a couple really good throws. And I thought some of the deep balls looked okay. The deep ball that Jaden Ballard was not the greatest throw. I thought it was good at first, but on replay, it really wasn't the best throw. But some of the bad throws, man, like he short hopped a couple. He just he didn't have it. And to be fair, he hasn't got the reps, right? Luke Fickell even said it right after the game in his interview. So like, look, all the reps went to Billy Edwards. Like, so this week he'll have all that time with Jeff Grimes. They can really install an offense that works better for him. But in general, not horrible. 63% completion percentage, 120 yards, threw a touchdown. Like, he played well enough to win the game. But if he's our starter the rest of the year, Ryan, I'm not feeling great about it.
Well, can I tell you this too? I mean, first, it's interesting, right? Because Edwards was 6 of 13, O'Neal was 12 of 19, and it feels like we're much now. Some of O'Neal's misses were pretty bad. Granted, I'll say this: he's not going to be the starter for the rest of the year because he runs so recklessly. That's the other part of the thing I came away from. He has a ton of heart. Danny O'Neal is all heart. You can tell, bro. Like, you can't get hurt now. Like, you know they're going to go into the film room and say some of those shots you can't take those shots. You are now the starting quarterback, and the backup is Hunter Simmons. You know what I mean? So it worries me some of the, I don't want to say recklessness. Like, I love the heart, and quite frankly, we kind of needed it today. We needed somebody to fire up the crowd off that fake jet sweep to Tretch, where he went up the middle for 15 yards. Like, that fired up the crowd around me. It fired up his teammates. But he has to pick and choose now because he's the starting quarterback, and he's not very big.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple times where he got hit, and I was like, okay, that's not good. Is he going to stand up? Like, Hunter Simmons, here we go. Yeah. And I think all those things will get cleaned up, right? I mean, in this next week. And yeah, there's so much more that we can even get into. But we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, talk about coaching. We got a lot of other stuff we can really get into. Let's take a quick break for our friends of the show. All right, friends of the show, Upside. Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store, Google Play right now, and start earning cash at the pump today. Use our limited time promo code football and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just for buying the gas you already needed. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code football for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code football. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. All right, man. Should we talk some coaching a little bit? Like Jeff Grimes' first game as offensive coordinator, what were your thoughts on some things you saw? We didn't get to see the full game plan because obviously with Billy Edwards out, but I thought there was some pretty good stuff there.
So I was taking some mental notes that in the first half, you can see the mechanisms behind the scheme. There was a deep pass to Vinny that was just about there, but he had schemed it open, right? You could see some of the scheming work. But then the offensive line just wasn't very good and your quarterback got hurt. So it's like, it's hard to put too much on the play caller, right? Billy Edwards went down and your offensive line didn't block very well. So I don't know. I thought it was fine. I thought he schemed up some really nice things. I thought at points he got a little pass heavy with Danny O'Neal. I know they're trying to open it up. So I would say the other thing is you can see Miami of Ohio. We had a great view of it. They've got 10 in the box. Even when Billy was there, those first couple runs, they're putting 10 in the box and they're daring us. So I thought it was fine. I thought Grimes was fine. Nothing spectacular. I agree with you. I didn't love that fourth down call, but I thought he was fine. They set up a really nice tight end screen to Mason that, Danny just kind of short hopped. I thought that would have gone for a few yards. So I would say fine.
Yeah, I was fairly impressed overall. And again, I know that Billy was only 6 of 13, but I do think that you could see the start of what was going to happen. You could see that progressing. There were several questions in the chat earlier, and I'm actually curious as your take on this. If Billy plays the whole game, what's the final score? What do you think?
24 to nothing.
See, I think it's more like 31 or 35, or 34 and 34. I really believe that he had a different command, and also the playbook changes, right? The playbook had to change when Danny O'Neal came in the game. I guess my point is, before Billy went down, I liked what I was seeing from I didn't like all the blocking and all the run game not working very well, but that was more the offensive line performance. It wasn't necessarily the scheme. I think the passing plays that were drawn up for Billy looked good. I think the creativity was nice at times. Like, I was overall fairly impressed with what I saw. And I think I can just see it getting better down the line. I think they obviously have to improve up front. And if there are gains made and if there's changes made off to the offensive line and blocking schemes and improvements and fixing assignments and stuff, I do think that that we can see a solid running game, which we've expected the entire offseason, by the way. And yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. I also want to touch on when we talk about Grimes, how involved multiple receivers were today. Yep. Vinny Anthony, 4 catches. Grant Steck, 2 for 31. Jaden Ballard, 3 catches. Chris Brooks, 2 catches. Tretch, 2. Eugene Hilton, 1 catch. Tyrell Henry, 1 catch. Dylan Jones, 3. That is 8 different receivers for the 188 yards. That's really nice to see. And I have to give it up for the receivers. I think all the receivers played really well today. So looking at that holistically, when you take away the quarterback situation, I understand why people are excited about the Grimes offense, and I think I am excited about it.
I thought it was fine. I don't think Billy was in a great rhythm, actually. I mean, he was 6 of 13, right? So it's not – I totally hear what you're saying. He obviously has a better command of the offense, but I don't know, he was 6 of 13. Like, watching the game from the stands, it didn't feel like there was a great rhythm there. It didn't feel like a running game was clicking. Obviously, we're better with him. I'm not arguing that. Vinny had a drop that he needs to catch, when we're talking about the receivers. And then I thought Jaden Ballard had an opportunity over the middle against if you're a 6'2 guy, a 6'2 senior that's pretty yoked up, I think you got to make a little bit better play on that deep post that Danny O'Neal threw up on that 3rd and long. We were kind of watching that one there. We had a good viewpoint of that one. So I thought the receivers were getting fine. I'm not going to really glow up any part of this offense after scoring 17.
Yeah.
I just, the receivers were fine, but Vinny's got to catch that pass. I will say this. I thought it was great to see Eugene Hilton out there. I think he is going to be a star. I'm with you there. But I think you just got to take a step back and say a 17-point win against a MAC team, that's not enough offense. And they're all part of that group, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Look, it is me being optimistic and trying to find the positives here. And I think that had Billy played the whole game, the offense, he would have settled down a little bit. Yes, a couple of incompletions were the fault of the offensive line and the other things. But yes, like I agree with you. He wasn't perfect by any means. But I think like all of those things look a little bit better if our starting quarterback doesn't go down, because the entire game plan shifts. Like how many teams lose their starting quarterback in the first half of the first game? Like that is ridiculous.
Wisconsin.
I mean, right?
Like us.
The number of times, Ryan, I know you were watching this, the number of times on television, they put up the graphic of this is the third time in the last 3 years. And they had Tyler Van Dyke's name and Tanner Mordecai's name. I'm like, geez, like they put that thing up like 6 times talking about Billy Edwards. Yeah, I mean, but I do feel like I have a shred of positivity, even though I know 17 points, 3-0, not 3 up at halftime, not good. 17-0, not good. But I feel like I'm happy with the quality of the receivers that we have. I'm happy with the quarterback if he's healthy. I'm worried about the offensive line. There's no doubt about that. That is the number one worry on the team right now. And obviously, even if the offense is having problems, that defense could legitimately help us out and clean up some of the messes that the offense potentially leaves.
Yeah, can I tell you too? Because again, I feel like I'm being pretty pessimistic here, but again, it's because we talked about the best part of the game early on in the show. The defense was awesome. Yeah. This defense, if they can continue to pressure the quarterback, and we saw veteran plays from the defensive backs, Rico looked good outside of a couple short completions he gave up. I think this defense is going to keep Wisconsin in a lot of these games. And then the other positive I'd point out is you never want to lose your quarterback. Danny O'Neal is better than Braden Locke, right? Danny O'Neal is mobile. He's tough. He did make some nice timing throws early on when he came in out to the sideline to move the sticks. So we are in a better spot when I say Wisconsin, with Danny O'Neal, vice Braden Locke, and with this defense, vice last year's defense. Now, the offense has to get on track. They have to get on track. And to do that, you've got to get better play from the offensive line. And I think you also need some receivers to make a few more 50-50 plays. I think you need some of those guys to, you need Tretch to break a couple tackles and take 140. What was the most explosive offensive play today? And some of those explosive plays come from your playmakers sometimes just making 2 people miss. Mm-hmm.
For sure. I mean, there was a play like that, like I mentioned that Danny O'Neal throw to Jaden Ballard, where it wasn't the best throw, but honestly, a top receiver makes that play. The cornerback adjusted really well and made the play. Good for him. It's a very good play. But the receiver, that's a 50-50 ball. The receiver's got to win. Like, and Vinny Anthony on his deep ball, like it was a fine ball, but he didn't adjust well to the ball in the air, right? You could see he was going towards one spot, and then he looked up and he kind of didn't adjust very well. And then he kind of flipped around the other side, and it looked like it was PI, but it really wasn't. And yeah, he's got to make that catch. He's got to adjust. So I agree there's some improvement there, but that is timing, right? That's going to happen, with more time out there. One other thing I wanted to bring up, which you and I were texting about, we talked about coaching decisions last year a couple times. Timeouts. You're up 3-0 and you take a timeout to then go for it on 4th down. We went back to that. We wasted 2 timeouts in really bad situations. Now, look, we didn't need them. We won the game by 17 points, and that's fine. But, dude, what are we doing with that? I mean, how many times are we going to have this discussion about not calling stupid timeouts in the second half?
Yeah, it's so funny, right? So as soon as we burned the first one, I texted you and Justin. I just said, inexcusable. So I'm trying to remember the situation. The first one, it was right after we got to the goal line, right? We had just completed a pass. Just go down there and run power. Just go down there and run fullback dive. Just go down there and run inside zone. You shouldn't need to even think about using a timeout in that situation, right? Just go down there and run power and push it in. And then in the other one, you called that timeout contemplating whether or not you're going to kick a field goal or go for it or find the right call. You should already know your decision at that point. That can burn you in a tight game. So, yeah, I thought both of those timeouts were poor. You have to be better from the coaching standpoint. Now, you could argue that should get better as Daniel Neal gets more reps, right? Part of that is quarterback communication, offensive coordinator, but ultimately, I don't think you should have to have a lot of communication when you're at the 1 or 2 yard line and it's first down.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get a few comments here. Jonathan Hess, jump around was cool with the lights. How was that? How did your kids enjoy that?
Dude, it was phenomenal. Like, again, Camp Randall's special. Like, it's special. People are going to, like, say, oh, Ryan, pumping sunshine, whatever. Irregardless of the game, this is a special friggin' place. And with the lights and jump around, it was awesome. I enjoyed it. My kids enjoyed it. Phenomenal.
I like the whole LED like bracelet thing. I thought that was neat. I mean, well done to Darren Jones and the whole team up there. Isaiah Place, developing a scheme for O'Neal is what comes next. I assume Edwards is out for a long term, but O'Neal at least showed something. Yeah, I do think that scheme, I mean, it's going to get better, right? He's going to work. Grimes is going to work with O'Neal all week, right? And that just makes sense. Matthew says defense clicks faster than offense always has. This is a new system. Need to give them a few weeks. I mean, I think there is an opportunity for grace, right? It is still week 1 in a new system. Like you mentioned the 3 points at halftime, you mentioned 17-0, but with a backup quarterback, it's not all bad. I know there's a lot of bad you can point to offensively, but I do think there's some grace that can be given, right?
So I'll just say, like, what did your ghost of Rugiet past say when we talked about if this isn't a really strong showing in week 1?
We also didn't expect to lose Billy Edwards week 1. I think that changes the calculation, honestly, for me. Like, if Billy Edwards stays in the whole game, Ryan, and we win 17-0, I'm having a different take on this show. But when you put in your backup quarterback in literally the first half of the first game, admittedly, they didn't give him a ton of snaps. And like, I think kind of like you have to just put that stuff aside. And it's hard to make really like good judgments about this offense with Danny O'Neal out there. We saw plays that he missed right in front of our eyes. Yes, we saw Billy miss some too, but the play calls would have been different too. I definitely am feeling a little different than a lot of Badger fans. I'm not that pessimistic because we lost our quarterback. I think you have to factor that in.
So I think that's 100% fair. I would never say there's no impact there. That's 100% fair. But he's not the one blocking. Like the offensive line and the running game should work against. Let's also call it the offensive line and the running game should work against Miami of Ohio, regardless of who's the quarterback. And it didn't happen tonight. So this is a spot, by the way, the offensive line needed to step up and kind of pull their backup quarterback up a little bit, like create some more lanes. Like, all right, we're going to take over. And, dude, it didn't happen. And that's worrisome. I do agree with the other point, obviously and absolutely. The game plan changes, right? You lose a guy who's taking the majority of the snaps. Billy Edwards was a starter for a reason, and that just stinks. And that does impact everything. But at the core level, you still got to block. And you need to be able to run the ball better. So I hear you. I think I have a little more trepidation just because we didn't win in the trenches on the offensive side. We did on the defensive side, but we didn't on the offensive side. And that's something we expected to do. Now, Miami of Ohio is not and I said this before the show. I had a guy on the show. They are not a bad team. They are a real solid MAC team. That's also worth pointing out.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And look, what I would say is a lot of teams struggle in week 1 against MAC teams. And we're not the only ones that were in a tight game. Like, we weren't even in a tight game, really. Nebraska was in a tight game. That's a different team. But I mean, Minnesota was in a tight game. Like, there's a lot of teams that kind of struggled. And so, yeah, and when you take a step back, you can kind of see a little bit of light. Will Hanna, Bucky would have had about 7 sacks playing against the less mobile quarterback. Yeah, dude, the pass rush, man. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. Downstream Creations, Ryan and Rajiv, what are your predictions after game 1? Like, how do you feel? Like, what's your instant, like, look ahead to the rest of the season now based on what you just saw? I think it's a very fair question.
I just need to caveat it with I need to see if Edwards is healthy. Like, what? Because I can't. It's really let's say Edwards is out the whole year, which I don't like. It makes it so hard if you don't know who the quarterback is. Yeah. Let me flip it around though. Quarterback independent. Take the quarterback out of it. The rest of the team defense looked better. I think offense in some spots looked worse. Mm-hmm. Has your expectations of this team outside of the quarterback gone up or down? Like your feelings on the team? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's pretty much the same because the offensive line is worse than we thought, and the defense is clearly better than we thought. Again, against Miami, but still, that's something. So, yeah, I'm kind of holding steady right now. And again, I would just point to the fact that I know people are disagreeing with me in the chat. That's okay. I would definitely point to the fact that he was walking and he was just hanging out on the sidelines. They were constantly cutting to him. He was walking around. He was talking. He was doing it's just different when you have look, we've all seen people in the NFL and college have ACL tears. We saw it last year with Tyler Van Dyke. He wasn't just standing around in his clothes, just talking to people. He wasn't doing that last year. And I really don't think that's the case. My best guess, just total speculation, is that it's a sprain of some kind, active. He kind of re-aggravated the knee that he hurt in training camp, probably out until after Alabama, which honestly, we were going to be 2-1 after Alabama anyway. So for 2-1 after Alabama and he plays for Maryland, like, okay. Like I think that's the best case scenario for me, right? It's like, okay, we're precautionary. We don't need to play him next week. There's no reason to play him next week. And then we'll kind of see what happens after, right? Like that's where I'm at with it. I do want to also say, I'm filling into some ad read tonight. So sorry, there's so many comments. Before we even started the show, we had like 500 comments. So thank you to everyone who waited. Sorry for the delay. Ryan had to get up to the press box. So sorry for not getting to more comments tonight. Obviously, we'll touch on a lot more of that this week. But I'm going to put this one up there because the first line is, I agree, Rugiet. Thank you, Sean. I would be super surprised if he was out for the season. His leadership on the sidelines was awesome to see. Yes, very good.
By the way, can we quickly point out Rajiv took like 7 comments and one of them was I agree, Rajiv. So like if you want to get a comment in, just start with Rajiv, great point. No, listen, I'll say this because I am a pretty level-headed guy. I'm not a doom and gloom guy. It's week 1. Miami Ohio is a solid team, and we also starting quarterback. And you won by 17, which the Vegas line was 17.5. That's why I thought the question of would you rather win 34-17 or 17-0 was a really great question. If we had scored more points but given up more, would people be freaking out? Probably less, to be honest. But we pitched a shutout. Maybe this defense is actually really, really good and really solid. And in that case, I don't know. Maybe you win 20-10 instead of 28-23, and that's okay too. There was a lot of positives to take from this. I think I was just a little taken aback by our inability to get more push and some of the pass rush that Miami Ohio showed against us. But there are legitimately a lot of really good things to take from this, starting with that defense. And again, I think Danny O'Neil, for a backup quarterback, came in and he did show flashes. He did show the ability to move the offense, and he's tough as hell. Like that dude is a bulldog, and he's going to give you what he's got, which there is something to be said about that, Rajiv.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to choose to believe that that some of that push that we wanted to see on the offensive line would have been better if Billy stayed in there, just because I think Miami of Ohio is like, look, this is a backup quarterback. We're going to, as you said, put 10 men in the box and see what he can do. And he wasn't really able to take too much advantage of that. So it would be interesting to see what would have played out if Billy would have stayed into the whole game. But look, we're 1-0. I know it's not what everyone wanted to see, but I think the one thing we can say after the last couple of years, we've come on this show after week 1 and we've been like, oh, that's just not what we wanted to see. At least we can talk about this defense. And we're going to be talking about this defense every day this week because there is a lot of fun things. I mean, Mason Reiger, Sebastian Cheeks, Christian Allegro, like so many good players today on that defense that absolutely deserves all the flowers, because for 3 years we've been on Mike Tressel about this defense. And I know it's game 1. I know we're playing Miami of Ohio, but when you get a shutout, that's a big deal. So kudos to that, man.
Really quick, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this before we roll out of here, because they're going to kick me out of camp at some point. I'm probably like the last guy here, which is amazing. Let me ask you this. If I made you pick a record prediction right now, again, it's iffy with the quarterback spot, but if I made you pick, would you downgrade or upgrade it? What would you go with right now if you had to pick right now after seeing one game? Because I would say this, it is one game, but college football seasons aren't long. Mm-hmm. One game is like 8% of your season.
A part of me wants to say I would probably downgrade to 6-6, but truthfully, because of the defense being way better than I thought, I'm going to stick to my record. I'm going to say I'm going to push it right now. I'm going to say I really believe that I can be like right here, 7-5 still. I don't feel up or down either way, because I think there was a positive and a negative that hopefully balance each other out.
That's fair. I think I might drop it a game to 6-6, to be honest. I don't know. I also just saw the game, and I'm give me a day to rewatch it on TV, and I might think differently. But
no, I don't think you're going to really change your mind. That offensive line looked pretty rough at times, man. I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic, and I really am. Like I do feel okay now, because look, if it would have finished 10-0, I'd have been like, this fact that we won by 17, which was pretty much the line, which by the way, Chip Burr texted me earlier and said, do you take the line? I was like, no, I don't like the line because I thought we'd win by 17 after I like spent more time thinking about it. My original prediction was more, but you just never know about these things. But yeah, man, like there are positives. There really are. There are things that you can really hang your hat on as a Badger fan today, but there are concerns, just like there always seem to be with this team. And let's hope Billy Edwards is healthy, man.
Let me finish with the one positive, and I promise there's somebody in the chat that probably said, "Well, Ryan's going to come on and say a win's a win." A win's a win. Like I am going to say that. Like I guarantee you, somebody in the chat said that or said some variation of that. But it's also true. There are MAC teams that beat Big Ten teams every year, and I understand that. I think we all expected to see a little bit more from the offense. I did, and that's why I've said it. You still won. And you win, you advance, you get better. So a win's a win. I am going to say it. So want to know. Let's move forward. Let's get better.
Yeah, for sure, man. And your kids had a good time. Yeah. I mean, your kids got to see their first game in Camp Randall.
I will say my 6-year-old got a little bored when it became a punt fest. Like there is a part of me that's like, oh, for the love of God, just hit an 80-yard bomb for my kids' sake. Because they have grown up in a generation with a lot of stimulation available at their fingertips. And they do not want to see a game with a bunch of punts and fair catches and 2-yard runs on the interior and skipped passes. So, and for gosh sake, DeQuan Finn holding the zone read for like 7 seconds and then getting tackled for 2 yards. My kid is like, So listen, they had a great time for sure. A few more offensive fireworks would have been helpful. I'll say that.
Yeah, would have been. But we're 1-0. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for making Locked On Badgers your first listen every day. Ryan at the stadium live from the press box. Fantastic. And thank you to all the people at Wisconsin for allowing him to do that, which is great. There's going to be a lot of content this week. Obviously, there's so much more to break down about this game. Surely Ryan's going to be back with some more rewatch stuff and all kinds of good stuff. And with that, on Wisconsin, we'll talk soon.